Section 8. Road conditions and vehicle handling. When may you overtake another vehicle on the left? When you're in a one-way street. You're travelling in very heavy rain. How is this likely to affect your overall stopping distance? It will be doubled. What should you do when you're overtaking at night? Beware of bends in the road ahead. When may you wait in a box junction? When oncoming traffic prevents you turning right. Which of these plates normally appears with this road sign? And the road sign is clearly the hump in the road sign. So the answer is humps for half a mile. What do traffic calming measures do? Slow traffic down. You're on a motorway in fog. The left-hand edge of the motorway can be identified by reflective studs. What colour are they? Red. What's a rumble device designed to do? Alert you to a hazard. What should you do when making a journey in foggy conditions? Leave plenty of time for your journey. What must you do when overtaking a car at night? Make sure you don't dazzle other road users. You're travelling on a road that has speed humps. What should you do when the driver in front is travelling more slowly than you? Slow down and stay behind. You see these markings on the road. Why are they there? And it's the horizontal yellow bars on the road before a roundabout to make you aware of your speed. How would you identify a section of road used by trams? There will be a different surface texture. What should you do when you meet an oncoming vehicle on a single track road? Stop at a passing place. The road is wet. Why might a motorcyclist steer round drain covers on a bend? To prevent the motorcycle sliding on the metal drain covers. After this hazard, you should test your brakes. Why is this? And it's a red triangular sign with a Ford in it. Your brakes will be soaking wet. Why should you always reduce your speed when travelling in fog? It's more difficult to see what's ahead. How will your vehicle be affected when you drive up steep hills? The engine will work harder. You're driving on the motorway in windy conditions. What should you do as you pass a high-sided vehicle? Be wary of a sudden gust. What should you do to correct a rear wheel skid? Steer into it. You're driving in fog. Why should you keep well back from the vehicle in front? In case it stops suddenly. What should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy? Leave side lights switched on. You're driving at night and are dazzled by vehicle headlights coming towards you. What should you do? Slow down or stop. When may front fog lights be used? When visibility is seriously reduced. You're driving with your front fog lights switched on. Earlier fog has now cleared. What should you do? Switch them off as long as visibility remains good. Why should you switch off your rear fog lights when the fog has cleared? To prevent dazzling following drivers. What will happen if you use rear fog lights in good conditions? They'll dazzle other drivers. What can fitting chains to your wheels help to prevent skidding in deep snow? How can you use your vehicle's engine to control your speed? By changing to a lower gear. Why could it be dangerous to keep the clutch down or select neutral for long periods of time while driving? You'll have less steering and braking control. You're driving on an icy road. What distance from the car in front should you drive? 10 times the normal distance. You're driving on a well-lit motorway on a clear night. What must you do? Use your headlights. You're on a motorway at night with other vehicles just ahead of you. Which lights should you have on? Dipped headlights. What will affect your vehicle's stopping distance? The condition of the tyres. You're driving on a motorway at night. When may you switch off your headlights? When your vehicle is broken down on the hard shoulder. When will you feel the effects of engine braking? When you change to a lower gear. Daytime visibility is poor but not seriously reduced. Which lights should you switch on? Dipped headlights. Why are vehicles fitted with rear fog lights? To make them more visible in thick fog. While you're driving in fog, it becomes necessary to use front fog lights. What should you remember? Switch them off when visibility improves. What should you do when there's been a heavy fall of snow? Don't drive unless it's essential. You're driving down a long, steep hill. You suddenly notice that your brakes aren't working as well as normal. What's the usual cause of this? The brakes overheating. You have to make a journey in fog. What should you do before you set out? Make sure that the windows are clean. You've just driven out of fog. What must you do now that visibility has improved? Switch off your fog lights. Why is it dangerous to leave rear fog lights on when they're not needed? They may be confused with brake lights. What will happen if you hold the clutch pedal down or roll in neutral for too long? It will reduce your control. You're driving down a steep hill. Why could it be dangerous to keep the clutch down or roll in neutral for too long? Your vehicle will pick up speed. Why is it bad technique to coast when driving downhill? The vehicle will gain speed. Same answer. What should you do when dealing with this hazard? And again, this is a red triangle with a Ford in it. Use a low gear and drive slowly. Why is travelling in neutral for long distances known as coasting? Wrong. There won't be any engine braking. When must you use dipped headlights during the day? In poor visibility. You're braking on a wet road. Your vehicle begins to skid. It doesn't have anti-lock brakes. What's the first thing you should do? Release the foot brake. And now the case study. You're driving in very thick fog and the road surface is also rather damp. You're using fog lights as well as headlights. You leave a larger gap than normal between your vehicle and the one in front. Later, a drain is being unblocked and the pumping vehicle is obstructing the road on your side. Further on still, there are rumble devices on the approach to a roundabout. How might the road condition affect your stopping distance? It could be doubled. Why would you be using your fog lights? Visibility is below 100 meters. Why would you leave a larger gap between your vehicle and the one in front? The vehicles ahead may stop suddenly. What should you do before overtaking the pumping vehicle? Wait until the road ahead is clear. What information would the rumble devices provide to help you? A reminder to make you aware of your speed. And so ends that section.
Yet we've done very little.
Section 9, Motorway Driving. What should you do when you're joining a motorway? Give way to traffic already on the motorway. What's the national speed limit on motorways for cars and motorcycles? 70 miles per hour. Which vehicle should use the left-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Any vehicle. Which of these isn't allowed to travel in the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway? A vehicle towing a trailer. You break down on a motorway, you need to call for help. Why may it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone rather than a mobile phone? It allows easy location by the emergency services. You've had a breakdown on the hard shoulder of a motorway. When the problem has been fixed, how should you rejoin the main carriageway? Gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. You're travelling along a motorway. Where would you find a crawler or climbing lane? On a steep gradient. What do these motorway signs show? And it's the slightly elongated vertically blue rectangles with the diagonal white stripes. They're countdown markers to the next exit. On which part of a motorway are amber reflective studs found? Between the central reservation and the carriageway. What colour are the reflective studs between the lanes on a motorway? White. What colour are the reflective studs between a motorway and its slip road? Green. You've broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? In the direction shown on the marker posts. You're joining a motorway. Why is it important to make full use of the slip road? To build up a speed similar to traffic on the motorway. How should you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Face the oncoming traffic. You're on a motorway. What colour are the reflective studs on the left of the carriageway? Red. On a 3-lane motorway, which lane should you normally use? Left. What should you do when going through a contraflow system on a motorway? Keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead. You're on a 3-lane motorway. There are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right. Which lane are you in? In the left-hand lane. You're approaching roadworks on a motorway. What should you do? Obey all speed limits. Which vehicles are prohibited from using the motorway? Powered mobility scooters. What should you do when driving or riding along a motorway? Look much further ahead than you would on other roads. What should you do immediately after joining a motorway? Keep in the left-hand lane. What's the right-hand lane used for on a 3-lane motorway? Overtaking. What should you use the hard shoulder of a motorway for? Stopping in an emergency. You're in the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. What do these overhead signs mean? And you've got a 50 miles per hour on the left lane, a 50 miles per hour above the middle lane, and an arrow to go left, diagonally left on the right-hand lane. And it means move to the left and reduce your speed to 50 miles per hour. 50 miles per hour. When are you allowed to stop on a motorway? When you're signalled to do so by flashing red lights. You're travelling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? Move to another lane. What basic rule applies when you're using a motorway? Keep to the left-hand lane unless overtaking. You're travelling along a motorway. When are you allowed to overtake on the left? When in queues and traffic to your right is moving more slowly than you are. On a motorway, what's an emergency refuge area used for? In cases of emergency or breakdown. Traffic officers operate on motorways and some primary routes in England and Wales. What are they authorised to do? Stop and direct anyone on a motorway. You're on a motorway. A red cross is displayed above the hard shoulder. What does this mean? You shouldn't travel in this lane. You're on a smart motorway. A mandatory speed limit is displayed above the hard shoulder. What does this mean? The hard shoulder can be used as a running lane. What's the aim of a smart motorway? To reduce congestion. You're using a smart motorway. What happens when it's operating? You must obey the speed limits shown. Why can it be an advantage for traffic speed to stay constant over a longer distance? Your overall journey time will normally improve. You shouldn't normally travel on the hard shoulder of a motorway. When can you use it? When signs direct you to. What's used to reduce traffic bunching on a motorway? Variable speed limits. When may you stop on a motorway? In an emergency or breakdown. Unless signs show otherwise, what's the national speed limit for a car or motorcycle on a motorway? 70 miles per hour. You're on a motorway and there are red flashing lights above every lane. What must you do? Stop and wait. You're on a 3-lane motorway. A red cross is showing above the hard shoulder and mandatory speed limits above all the other lanes. What does this mean? The hard shoulder is for emergency or breakdown use only. On a 3-lane motorway, what does this sign mean? So we have 50, 50, 50, 50, and above the one on the left it says queue ahead. So it means use all the lanes including the hard shoulder. You're travelling along a motorway and feel tired. Where should you stop to rest? At the nearest service area. You're towing a trailer on a motorway. What's the speed limit for a car towing a trailer on this road? 60 miles per hour. What should the left-hand lane of a motorway be used for? Normal driving. You're driving on a motorway and have to slow down quickly due to a hazard ahead. How can you warn drivers behind of the hazard? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Your car gets a puncture while you're driving on the motorway. You get it onto the hard shoulder. What should you do? Use an emergency telephone and call for help. You're driving on a motorway. By mistake, you go past the exit that you wanted to take. What should you do? Carry on to the next exit. Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. You aren't able to stop on the hard shoulder. What should you do? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Why is it particularly important to carry out a check on your vehicle before making a long motorway journey? Continuous high speeds increase the risk of your vehicle breaking down. You're driving on a motorway. The car in front shows its hazard warning lights for a short time. What does this tell you? Traffic ahead is slowing or stopping suddenly. You're driving on the motorway. Well before you reach your intended exit, where should you position your vehicle? In the left-hand lane. What restrictions apply to new drivers holding a provisional driving license? They can't drive unaccompanied. Your vehicle breaks down on the hard shoulder of a motorway. You need to use your mobile phone to call for help. What should you do? Check your location from the marker posts on the left. You're towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right-hand lane? When there are lane closures. You're on a motorway. There's a contraflow system ahead. What would you expect to find? Lower speed limits. When may you stop on the hard shoulder of a motorway? In an emergency. And now for the case study. You're towing a small trailer behind your car and joining the motorway from a slip road. The motorway is busy with morning traffic. Further along the motorway, the central reservation is coned off for repair. Lanes have been narrowed for some distance using cones and temporary reflective studs. Once past the roadworks, traffic speeds up and the left-hand lane becomes clear. You then realise that you've gone past the exit you need. Who has priority at the motorway slip road junction? Vehicles already travelling in the left-hand lane. What colours would these studs be? Green, yellow. Which lane should you use after the roadworks? The left-hand lane. What's the national motorway speed limit for your vehicle and trailer? 60 miles per hour. What should you do about leaving the motorway? Continue on until you reach the next exit. And so ends that section. Section 10. Rules of the road. What's the meaning of this sign? Now you should know this by now. It's the white circle with the black diagonal bar across it. This is the national speed limit applies. What's the national speed limit for cars and motorcycles on a dual carriageway? 70 miles per hour. There are no speed limit signs on the road. How is a 30 mile per hour limit indicated? By street lighting. You see street lights but no speed limit signs. What will the speed limit usually be? Clearly 30 miles an hour. What does this sign mean? It's the blue circle with a 30 and a red diagonal stripe through it. End of minimum speed. There's a tractor ahead. You want to overtake but you aren't sure whether it's safe. What should you do? Stay behind the tractor if you're in any doubt. Which vehicle is most likely to take an unusual course at a roundabout? Long lorry. When mustn't you stop on a clear way? At any time. What's the meaning of this sign? It's the red perimetered circle with a red stripe diagonally through it and a blue centre, and that is waiting restrictions. When can you park on the right hand side of a road at night? When you're in a one-way street. On a 3-lane dual carriageway, what can the right-hand lane be used for? Overtaking or turning right. You're approaching a busy junction. What should you do when, at the last moment, you realise you're in the wrong lane? continue in that lane. Where may you overtake on a one-way street? On either the right or the left. How should you signal when going straight ahead at a roundabout? Indicate left before leaving the roundabout. Which vehicle might have to take a different course from normal at roundabouts? Long vehicle. On which occasion may you enter a box junction? When your exit road is clear. When may you stop and wait in a box junction? When oncoming traffic prevents you from turning right. Which person's signal to stop must you obey? A police officer. You see a pedestrian waiting at a zebra crossing. What should you normally do? Stop to let them cross and wait patiently. Who can use a toucan crossing? Cyclists and pedestrians. You're waiting at a pelican crossing. What does it mean when the red light changes to flashing amber? Wait for pedestrians on the crossing to clear. When can you park on the left opposite these road markings? And you've got the standard white dash in the road, but you've got a solid white line to the right of it. And the answer is to pick up or set down passengers. You're turning right at a crossroads. An oncoming driver is also turning right. What's the advantage of turning behind the oncoming vehicle? You will have a clearer view of any approaching traffic. You're travelling along a street with parked vehicles on the left-hand side. Why should you keep your speed down? Children may run out from between the vehicles. What should you do when you meet an obstruction on your side of the road? Give way to oncoming traffic. You're on a two-lane dual carriageway. Why would you use the right-hand lane? To overtake slower traffic. Who has priority at an unmarked crossroads? No one has priority. What's the nearest you may park to a junction? 10 metres or 32 feet. Where shouldn't you park? At or near a bus stop. You're waiting at a level crossing. A train passes but the light keeps flashing. What must you do? Carry on waiting. What does this sign tell you? It says zone ends, and above it is the sign we were talking about with the red circle perimeter and a diagonal red stripe through it and a blue centre. And it means no waiting zone ends. What must you do when entering roadworks where a temporary speed limit is displayed? Obey the speed limit. You're on a well-lit road at night in a built-up area. How will using dipped headlights help? You can be easily seen by others. The dual carriageway you're turning right onto has a very narrow central reservation. What should you do? Wait until the road is clear in both directions. What's the national speed limit on a single carriageway road for cars and motorcycles? 60 miles per hour. You park at night on a road with a 40 miles per hour speed limit. What should you do? Park with parking lights on. Where will you see these red and white markers? And we've come across these before. It's the longer vertical rectangles, white rectangles with red diagonal stripes. And it's approaching a concealed level crossing. You're travelling on a motorway in England. You must stop when signalled to do so by which of these? A traffic officer. You're going straight ahead at a roundabout. How should you signal? Signal left just after you pass the exit before the one you're going to take. When may you drive over a footpath? To get onto a property. A single carriageway road has this sign. What's the maximum permitted speed for a car towing a trailer? And it's the white circle with the black diagonal stripe, which is the national speed limit. So this means 50 miles per hour if you're towing a trailer. What's the speed limit for a car towing a small caravan along a dual carriageway? 60 miles per hour. You want to park and you see this sign. What should you do on the days and times shown? It says meter zone and it's got the same sign we've discussed. The circle with the red perimeter, the red stripe through it and the blue centre, and it has times shown Monday to Friday, Saturday 8:30 till 6:30, Saturdays 8:30 till 1:30. Park in a bay and pay. A cycle lane marked by a solid white line is in operation. What does this mean for car drivers? You mustn't drive in that lane. You intend to turn left from a main road into a minor road. What should you do as you approach it? Keep well to the left of the road. You're waiting at a level crossing. The red warning lights continue to flash after a train has passed by. What should you do? Continue to wait. You're driving over a level crossing. The warning lights come on and a bell rings. What should you do? Keep going and clear the crossing. You're on a busy main road and find that you're travelling in the wrong direction. What should you do? Turn around in a side road. During which manoeuvre may you remove your seatbelt? Reversing. Over what distance are you allowed to reverse? No further than is necessary. What should you do when you're unsure whether it's safe to reverse your vehicle? Get out and check. When may you reverse from a side road into a main road? Not at any time. You want to turn right at a box junction. There's oncoming traffic. What should you do? Wait in the box junction if your exit is clear. You're reversing your vehicle into a side road. When would the greatest hazard to passing traffic occur? When the front of your vehicle swings out. Where's the safest place to park your vehicle at night? In a garage. When may you stop on an urban clearway to set down and pick up passengers? You're looking for somewhere to park your vehicle. The area is full except for spaces marked disabled use. What can you do? You can't park there unless you're permitted to do so. You're on a road that's only wide enough for one vehicle. A car is coming towards you. What should you do? Pull into a passing place on your left. You're driving at night with your headlights on full beam. A vehicle is overtaking you. When should you dip your lights? As soon as the vehicle passes you. When may you drive a motor car in this bus lane? Right, so this sign is not very good for audio. Big blue sign, split into two rectangles. We've got a local written on a bus. We've got a cycle beneath and a taxi with a white line to the right of it. And then underneath that rectangle, you've got Monday to Friday, 7 till 10 a.m, 4 till 6:30 p.m. The answer is outside its hours of operation. Other than direction indicators, how can you give signals to other road users? By using brake lights. You're parked in a busy high street. What's the safest way to turn your vehicle around so you can go the opposite way? Find a quiet side road to turn around in. To help keep your vehicle secure at night, where should you park? In a well-lit area. You're driving in the right-hand lane of a dual carriageway. You see signs showing that the right-hand lane is closed 800 yards ahead. What should you do? Move to the left in good time. You're driving on a road that has a cycle lane. The lane is marked by a broken white line. What does this mean? You shouldn't drive in the lane unless it's unavoidable. What must you have to park in a disabled space? The answer is a blue badge. Where must you stop your vehicle if you're involved in an incident that causes damage or injury? And now the case study. It's early evening and the street lamps are lit. You're driving home at 30 miles an hour, although there are no speed limit signs. The road is a single carriageway and you're alone in your vehicle. Sleet is falling steadily and it's cold. Ahead, a vehicle is spreading salt on the road. In town, there are high occupancy vehicle lanes which you don't use. Your home is level with a zebra crossing, but you park beyond its markings, further down the road. How have you identified a 30 mile an hour speed limit? There are regularly spaced street lights in the area. What would the normal centre white line markings be on this road? Short dashes with long spaces. What colour flashing beacon would the salting vehicle have? Amber. Why would you not use the high occupancy lane on your journey? It's for vehicles that have 2 or more occupants. Why don't you park level with your home? Because you mustn't park there. Now, so ends that section